Alright, hello, welcome back everybody. PayPal, Patreon, and the YouTube membership button thing are all down below. If you want to support me, only do so if you actually can. So it's time for the infrequent, inconsistent monthly natural gas production levels update. Starting with the largest natural gas producer in the world, the US, which will remain the case for quite a while. The US continuing, as I expected, to hold its plateau, where it plateaued out in the 110s, having various ups and downs over the past number of years, from the mids to the lower 110s to the upper 110s to the mid 110s again. Most recently, for the last couple of weeks, it's come in usually around 118 or 119 billion cubic feet per day. And as for how long the plateau will remain to drag out in the 110s, it will likely remain undulating in this area for another 2 years, probably at minimum, to as much as 3 or 4. Second up is Russia, who previously, before the Ukraine invasion, averaged around 70 or a bit above 70, lower 70s, fluctuating between 60 and the lower 80s, depending on the time of the year. However, due to massive customer absence, as Europe was the one buying most of their gas, and now they are predominantly selling to China, India, and Turkey, who cannot really consume at the same rates, primarily because of the constricted availability of Russia to actually get anything to them in the same amounts that it exported to Europe at. Russia is down to averaging closer to 60 in terms of their natural gas production levels, fluctuating between as low as almost 50 to the high points being in the low 70s, where the previous pre Ukraine war average was, and those high points being in the middle of winter when Russia's own heating demand is the highest. And that high point coming with their February data, which is data just released, where they came in between 73 and 74 billion cubic feet per day. China desperately trying to chase its domestic consumption levels, which are now in excess of 40 billion cubic feet per day, has managed to get their production up to the lower 20s. Most recently, they've predominantly been between 21 and 23. This time they came in just a bit under 21 at 20.9. Iran would otherwise be up close to 30, but because of quite a lot of infrastructural issues and internal problems with the oil and gas infrastructure, they've been down in the lower 20s instead, not recently able to actually get any specific numbers out of them. But that is a sizable gap, obviously, between their capabilities and what they're currently producing, which has actually given them problems over these last couple winters, especially where they've been unable to meet domestic supply needs for heating, and even a bit recently in this past summer as well, where they had domestic power supply issues to their gas-fired power plants. Qatar is up in the lower 20s currently, and this time came in at 20.2, and they should very soon be bringing on that Ars gas field extension or expansion project, the first of three that they have lined up, that should be taking them up into the mid 20s. Australia has been up around 15 or 16. This time they came in at 14.8. Norway continuing to hover around their new plateau, which is also around their record high as they're continuing to push it up. This time coming in at 12.5 billion cubic feet per day. Algeria finally bringing on, although a bit later than expected, those various capacity expansions that were in the works. And now, instead of capping at 10, they have pushed themselves up to 11 billion cubic feet per day, a bit higher. Currently, they've pushed above 11 and are at 11.1. Malaysia, after activating a few new fields, had brought themselves up over 8, and they'll be on their way up to somewhere between 10 and 15 over the coming years. And they were up at 8.2. They've had a sudden drop down to 7.5 this time, likely some larger field being shut down for maintenance somewhere offshore. Indonesia should be making a natural gas comeback and pushing back up towards an over 10 as well, just with a bit more delay. Malaysia is a bit ahead of them in that regard. This time, Indonesia came in at a flat 6. Nigeria came in just behind them at 5.7, as they've as they've pushed their capability up to about 6 in present day. Egypt, formerly holding a plateau around 5 and 6, has been having issues with their gas supply recently, and they've been coming in at 4 a lot, this time coming in at 4.22. Azerbaijan has reached the 4 billion cubic feet per day, and they should be able to hold this for about 10 years, maybe a bit more. We'll see. This time they came in at 4.03. The UK, fallen from not only its North Sea oil production heights, obviously, as it depletes everything and doesn't have much more to work with like Norway does, also fallen from its gas production heights, as it was closer to 10 in the past. Now it's closer to the opposite end of the 1 to 10 scale, this time coming in at 3.28. And Mexico used to be up between 5 and 10 in the past as well, and they're down from that, just like their oil production is down. And now they're starting to average only around 3, down even from the 4 that they had previously declined to. This time, Mexico came in even further down from that at 2.55. And unfortunately, that's the end of this one. Anyways, thank you everybody for sticking around and listening. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't already. PayPal and Patreon are there if you want to support me. Only do so if you actually can. There's a link in the description to a Google Drive folder where you can find all kinds of graphs and all kinds of others that's free to access and free to use anytime. There's a link to my photography Instagram and one in the top pinned comment to my cat's YouTube channel. May God bless and protect all of you, and I will see you all around next time.